Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Thanks for stopping in. We're going to talk tonight about this idea of pray without ceasing. Paul tells the church in Thessalonica in the Thessalonian letter, 1 Thessalonians, that they are to pray without ceasing. And I want us to reflect on that for a few minutes and think about that. Somebody one time told me, and I can't remember, anyway, is the idea that prayer is kind of like that sign that we used to see at railroad crossings. And I don't know that I've seen one in a while, but you probably have seen this, at least if you're a little bit older, or like me, you've probably seen this, where it says, stop, look, and listen. And I want to suggest to you that this is a model, or maybe would help us a little bit to think about this passage of pray without ceasing. Think of it as a model for that. Because in some ways, prayer is a way of saying to life, stop, stop. There's got to be a pause. I'm going to pause for a moment in all my busyness, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to spend time with the Lord. It's just a way of saying stop to the world, you see. The reality is we're busy all the time. There's lots of things keeping us busy. It just... I saw somebody, a friend of mine on Facebook the other day, she had posted something that said to the effect of this, everything else gets canceled, but there's one thing that doesn't get canceled, and that's laundry. Laundry doesn't get canceled, does it? Laundry just keeps on going. And there's a truth to that, and there's a reality to that. And in other words, we can stay busy with the most mundane and simple little things, can't we? Our spouses keep us busy, work can keep us busy, our children can keep us busy, friends can keep us busy, life can keep us busy. Do you get on YouTube or Facebook and you're just going to check something out, and then you see another link to another video or something somebody else has said or done, and you know what? It can just turn into a black hole of time. You can look up and it's like, wait a minute, how did that much time go by? We're busy. Things get away from us. And one of the things that we do with this stop, look, and listen approach is we say, wait a minute, for a moment, I have got to stop. Because you know what? If we stay busy all the time and we don't stop and take time for prayer and time for God, we will find ourselves forgetting what's really important. That's part of that stopping, is to figure out what's really very important to us. In other words, it can be a time for evaluation of how are we really doing. Maybe there's something in our life needs to change. Maybe there's something that's going well. What am I missing? See, in reality, what we're moving into here next is that look part, aren't we? There's that stop is a way to say to the world, stop, pause. I'm off for a moment. I've got to do something that's just as important as everything else that I'm doing. We need to think about prayer that way. This is just as important about all the other stuff that's going on in this world too. But you see, it gives us a chance to maybe evaluate, what am I missing? I'll try to get this image edited in. My grandmother in her backyard had this rose bush. And when she sold the place, I don't know why, I just love this it was a little white rose bush. It was just a very hardy little thing. It just lived and survived. It was a survivor. And when she moved, I got permission to dig that up. And so through the years, Kelly has taken some cuttings off of that and started some other little rose bushes. And in fact, if you're at the Pizza place, where Kelly's put up those little, I guess you call it the tire garden, there's some rose bushes there. Anyway, Kelly sent me a picture this week because she was looking at it, and down in the middle of all those white roses was one little pink rose. And she was like, look at this, there's a little pink rose right there. And you know what? You don't ever notice those things unless you stop and look. I don't know, I hope you don't think that's silly, but it's just an illustration of the things that are out there in the world that we could really notice and pay attention to if we just for a moment stop and look. What am I missing in life? Because it's easy to miss some things in life. I guess I'll go to sports. I go to sports a lot as an illustration. Think a football game. You've got halftime. Now, whatever goes on at halftime, there's at least one thing going on at halftime, and part of that is a team, or at least the coaches, are looking at that saying, okay guys, what do we need to be doing in the second half? I've looked at the first half, I saw it played out, and these are the things we got to do differently, or these are the things we got to do the same. In other words, it's not that something has to change necessarily. There may be things that need to change, and that's common. At halftime, a football coach will say, okay, we need to do this, 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 and this. We had this in our game plan, we're going to adapt it to this. But on the other hand, there may be something going well, and you keep doing that. You just keep on doing the same thing. But it's even at a football game. As important as that is in American culture, there's also this thing called halftime where the teams get to stop and to look. and to think about what's going on. You see, what else is it that we need to see? And you know, something that's important to us to realize is what else that we need to be praying for. One of the reasons for stopping and looking is figuring out what else is it that I need to be praying for. One of the struggles that I have in my life is that I have a one-track mind. Whatever I am on at that moment is all I'm on. I cannot do two things, or at least I cannot do two things and do them well. Something will get done poorly, or probably both of them will get done poorly, and something's going to get broken, or something's going to go wrong, or whatever the case is. I just do not have the capability of doing two things at once and doing them both well. And once I'm on something, I miss so many other things because that's all my mind is on. That's what I'm thinking about. Let me give a simple illustration of that. Okay. The parsonage is right across the street from the church building. So in any given day, I may walk back and forth several times and I have to cross the road. And it's common during a day, if I make several crossings, that I'm going to have to stop and let cars pass. And it's just my custom to wave at everybody. I'll wave at everybody driving by and they'll wave back. And it's of course a small town, so a lot of times whoever's driving by, I know them, or at least see them around town, or we're acquainted, that sort of thing. And there have been a number of times that I'll wave at somebody and they don't wave back. Now there's at least two options here, one of which is they're being rude, or the other one is they're driving or their mind's on something else and they don't notice me standing at the side of the road, probably 10 or 15 feet at the most from their car. You would think me standing there would be the most obvious thing in the world, and it's not. In other words, I don't think they're being rude. I think, and I'm just using this as a thing, I've seen it in my own life. People will say, hey, I saw you somewhere and I waved at you. You didn't wave back. It wasn't that I was being rude. I just didn't notice. I was concentrating on driving or whatever else I was doing, and I just didn't notice. I wave at people all the time and they don't wave back, and they're not rude. It's just because they're focused on driving and that's what they're up to, you know. Or maybe they're driving and they're on a hands-free, because I know all of my listeners drive hands-free and do not text while they're driving, or they talk hands-free. They don't drive hands-free. You drive with your hands on the wheel, but you talk hands-free, right? Did I get that straight? Sorry about that. You talk hands-free and you do not text while you're driving, right, listeners? Good. So maybe they're driving and on a hands-free call and they're concentrating on those two things and they don't see me. You get the point? One of the things about stopping and looking is, what else is it that I need to notice? What else is it that I need to notice? Because we get caught up in our own little worlds. It's so easy to do, and then we don't look around. We need to stop and we need to look. And I'd also suggest to you that looking means more than just looking. It means to study and reflect upon. We need to stop and we need to study and we need to look around and we need to reflect on things. Another example of this, I enjoy working puzzles, and I don't mean the kind of puzzles where it comes in a bunch of pieces in a box and you flip it out on the table and you try to put it all together and recreate the picture on the front of the box. No, I enjoy, I guess you would say, mental puzzles, trying to work those. And I look at those, and I'll sometimes run into puzzles and I'll look at it. And now there are some puzzles you can look at and go, oh, I know the answer. But there's a lot of puzzles I'll come to and I don't see the answer. And so if I want to solve it and not just look up the answer in the back of the book, which doesn't really give you that satisfaction you want, there have been times I have to come back to a puzzle several times and I have to look and I have to study and I have to think about it and I have to be intentional about it. Because see, I told you I got that one-track mind. That's what I need to be on. And there's just something about that, coming back and looking. Sometimes when I'm working in the office, I will just get up and I'll walk down to the post office and get the mail, or I'll walk over to the house, or I'll walk around the block, or whatever the case is, because there's something about getting up and then coming back and looking again. And you think about it, that's a reflection on life, isn't it? There's some problems in life that don't get solved immediately, do they? They don't get solved quickly. Sometimes you got to come back and look at them again and again and again. And I've seen that in my life. There's something that I am puzzling over, and I have to come back repeatedly in prayer to God with it before I ever get the answer that I need. Sometimes in life we have to stop and we have to look, and we have to do it more than once and on more than one occasion. You see, and then we come to that last part of, remember, it's stop, look, and listen. Stop, look, and listen. Okay? Because part of prayer is also learning to listen to God. What is it that He wants to say to us? You see, part of prayer is not just continuing either to mentally express your thoughts to God or verbally express your thoughts to God, but sometimes a part of prayer is being silent, clearing your mind and waiting to hear whatever it is that God would like to reveal to you and help you to understand or help you to see more clearly or to point out to you. And I'm not talking about for 30 seconds. I'm talking about for a period of time, longer than that, where you can just clear your mind. What is it, Lord, that you want me to hear, to see, to notice, to do? It's a part of that listening. And if you can learn to be quiet before the Lord as a part of your prayer, you might be surprised how much He reveals to you and helps you to see and to know. You see, prayer is also a chance for you to listen to God. Stop, look, and listen. Thanks.